Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Breast Cancer Heroes Journey. Today, I'm talking to Damla. Now, I didn't get to pronounce her surname beforehand, so I apologize, Damla. She's an energetic wound healer, a coach, and a writer. Now, she's also helps others do self-healing. Now, you've heard me speak before how it's really important, not only to on your journey, your breast cancer journey, or any other journey, to heal you physically, but it's also important to heal yourself emotionally and spiritually. She heals and she helps self healers and healers to move beyond their energetic wounds and shine brighter than they thought possible that they could show up in their lives to heal themselves, which is really important. Also, their families and their soul tribe, which I believe the moment you heal yourself energetically, it does it goes out there, and a lot of other people can heal from it as well. She's the creator of Chakra Bliss Healing Method that simplifies healing with crystals, author of 40 Days of Shanti Mantra Journal, and the host of the Conversation with Healers podcast. She loves holding healing space for those with energetic wounds and teaches bliss-filled healing, movement, and meditation journeys. Right, so you can find out more about her. She's offering, and you could take a quiz to determine your energetic wounds and how you can show up in your life. I'll have all her websites, all her Instagram, all her Facebook there for you available. But you can go to A Drop of which I really love that name. And having said all of this, welcome, Damla.
Hello, happy to be here. Hi, Grace.
Thank you for joining us today. Like I said, I didn't get to practice your surname, and I didn't want to kill it.
That's
So
okay.
if you want to let everyone know what your surname is.
It's Damla Aktekin. It's
Oh,
a
wow.
Turkish name and a Turkish last name.
Beautiful. Now, Dalma comes out of, she's living in Boston in the US. So, Dalma, like I said, this is something that is close to my heart. I've worked with crystals. I think I've worked with crystals probably close to 10 years now. Do you know what I mean? I started off with a little bit of crystals here and a little bit of crystals there, but it wasn't just a matter of, oh, I'm just going to put this crystal here and that's going to do all the job. So I started to learn how the healing process comes out of using holistic healing. And when we use the word holistic, it can be bastardized these days, unfortunately, as well. But we're looking at the real healing of using yourself and the methods around you. So just explain to everyone how you got involved in all of this healing, this holistic healing or energetic healing.
Well, I needed to heal myself. That was my first entry point. As it so happens with a lot of people, I went through two major healing crises, if you will, as I started my professional life as a business management consultant. I found myself with debilitating migraines, and I started to go into learning more and more about yoga and the movement practice and the philosophy behind it. And then my next crisis came in 2012. I became a mom, and I had an emergency C-section. What I knew and practiced with yoga wasn't working. It wasn't helping me anymore. My body felt strange. It didn't feel like I could do all the beautiful movements I could do before, and it was almost impossible to meditate. And in that space of becoming a new mom, I was just I was suffering. And at first I started to experiment with mantras, and then I found myself gravitated towards crystals. And my crystal healing was any little time I could find be in between being a mom and being in the world. I would have 5 minutes, and I would place crystals on me, and then I would just sit or lie down with them. And I started to feel small shifts, and I started to feel a little bit more myself each and every time I partnered with crystals. And as I went into this practice of spending time with crystals more and more, and I started to research more. I actually began to very quickly practice crystal healing just intuitively, just whatever would come over me on my friends and family, which then turned into my healing practice that I have now. And then I started to offer workshops, live workshops to groups of people to help them experience crystal healing. And in the process, I started to get a lot of questions from people. They would ask, what crystal should I use for this ailment? What crystals should go where? And as I sat with those questions, um, one thing that was very clear to me, first of all, I don't like using the word use when it comes to crystals, because it's a little bit like saying, let's say, you, Grace, are a vibrational structure and a vibrational being. And I meet you and I say to you, what can I use you for? What are you good
Mm,
for? What benefits can you give me?
mm.
Versus saying, I meet you, I see your beautiful smile, and I introduce myself, you introduce yourself, and we start to go into this energetic relationship. And that's what I've been teaching in my crystal healing courses and in crystal healing workshops, is that I am more interested in creating a loving connection with crystals, which in turn translates into creating that loving connection with yourself.
Beautiful. I agree with everything you've just said there. It is such a beautiful thing because, like I said, I don't just. I mean, I'm wearing these specific crystals today because I'm not like there's something happening in my body that I want to energetically heal. So that's why I'm wearing them. They're not just because of the beautiful colors. They're all different for different reasons. But I love the way you say I don't use them, the word use. And it is, a word that we put out there, but we don't mean to, but we can. I get what you're saying because you need to connect with it. I remember many times as well when people would come to, because I sell crystals as well, and people would come to me and say, well, which crystal's good for me? And I would say, well, it's that you don't ask me. You've got to feel the crystal that's drawing to you. And a lot of people would say, well, this ugly looking crystal is drawing to me. And I'm saying it's not ugly, it's there for a reason. And then when I go into the meaning, it's what they needed. It was that connection that they needed. Um, but I would never sell a crystal just for the sake of selling. Does that make sense? Because I knew that the energy was a lot more profound than that. So that's really great how you explained that. I really like the way you said that. So so basically, so you started using the crystals for yourself to heal. You then expanded that. You started healing friends and family, started showing them how to heal with energies, because like you said, we all are made out of energy. So how did you get involved in the other things like the chakras and all that? Or, how did you expand all of your knowledge and what did you do from there?
Well, the chakra philosophy was already with me because I actually, from my corporate job, I transitioned into being a full-time yoga teacher and then a yoga studio manager. And I went pretty deep into the philosophy of yoga. So the chakra knowledge was already with me. What came after or through working with crystals is though I became more and more in tune with not just what the crystals were saying to me, but also what the chakras were telling me. Meaning, I could sense and feel if I tuned into my body, I could sense and feel what areas of my body or what chakras were having a little trouble that day. And then I quickly realized that I also was able to do the same for other people, no matter where they are. Even through an internet connection, I can sort of tune into someone and say, okay, like this chakra is sort of giving me a red light. There's something going on here that this person needs to work with or look at. And everything else, I also work with sound, with tuning forks. I love EFT tapping or emotional freedom technique tapping. For me, all of those things, as well as crystals, fall under the umbrella of vibrational healing, because that was my journey, discovering, starting my life in in a mind-based world where everything was analytical, to moving into a body-based world where I was a yoga teacher, to discovering even that wasn't enough, that I needed to understand that I also existed in a vibrational realm. I don't end in my bones and skin. I am a multidimensional electromagnetic being that extends beyond my skin, and there are records of time there in that field as well as in my body. So all of these things combined, they all inform my work now. And specifically the chakra part is, it's just my the language that my intuition uses to tell me, okay, like this is what's coming up for a client, or this is what's coming up for a family member. And I help people decipher and locate in their bodies what that information might be.
Yeah, I think I love the way you said that, because I believe once we start working with vibrations and energies, not everyone has that. Not everyone has what it takes, and it's not a bad thing, but some of us can feel the energies of others. And when you start working with vibrations and energies, I believe it also opens, it doesn't make us more special, but it opens another portal in us that we're able to understand that, like you said, when someone comes in, you could sort of start feeling the energy of where they needed that healing. It's like having that little special little something that we can see or feel from someone else, and I always talk about that as well, because I talk about how it's important to understand what you're feeling, but also look at the vibration and the energy that the people around you have. Because if you're going through, like you're going through a energetic, I mispronounced what you said, what you described it as, that moment. But if you're going through that, your energy is already trying to adjust and trying to heal. And then you have other people's energies that could disrupt that. And it's not a matter of just shutting them out, but it's a matter of understanding, right? Okay, I'm on this vibration. Okay, I just got to get you in the same vibration as me, or vice versa. So I love how you said that, because I think it's really, really important for um, people to understand how we are all different energetically, but how we can respect each other and understand each other's energies, and I believe no one's a bad person. That's my motto. I just think that they're hurting, or they're trying to heal. So um, now, I love the way you speak about all of these, because it's really important. And I just want to go back on the chakras, because I always talk about the chakras as well. If you asked me, I think the majority of I don't want to call them problems, but my journey in my life comes from my base, I think. So the base chakra, I don't have a problem with my throat chakra, as you can see. But I express a lot through my throat chakra, and I'm not going to sit here and say, man, my third eye is just completely open, and sorry, my third eye is completely open, and my crown's open, and I'm all healed and things like that. But for someone who's going through a trauma, and like I say, this is about breast cancer, but it's not just about breast cancer. And I want to speak to also people that can heal themselves before it gets to that disease area. How would people, with your understanding and your knowledge, how would people know which chakra that they need help on? Like, where do they go? Where do they start?
Well, they don't have to know anything about chakras to be able to close their eyes and say, what's happening in my body right now? Which part of my body is asking for attention? And for me, I read bodies, right? I read energy. So if you gave me that information, I can tell you, I can give you a little bit more insight on what exactly is going on. But if you're just starting out, just that information of training yourself to tune into your body is critical. And then even noticing what parts of the body are you not able to access, what parts of the body are strange to you, what parts aren't speaking to you, or what parts are too painful, too uncomfortable to go into.
Wow.
And it becomes this journey, Grace, of, I love how you said, let's not wait until things hit the fan to heal ourselves. It's an ongoing self-healing journey, right? Every
Mhm.
single day, we have to ask ourselves, okay, what do I need energetically today? What can I offer myself that would sort of begin to help that inner child feel safe? What can I offer myself that would make me feel, if your trauma is related to the throat chakra, let's say, heard, seen, and understood?
Mm.
If your trauma is related to your third chakra, let's say for your power stage, what would help me feel more in control of my life? How can I reclaim my power? Because when you complain, you're giving away your power. When you use pronouns that are not I, you're giving away your power. So how can I reclaim that power? And it's not something that you have to do by yourself. You can obviously get help from me or another healer that you trust. And then it becomes this journey of, for me too personally, the dance of, there are certain portions of my life where I know I need help. I know I need to work with someone I trust, and I do that, but I also have to tend to my energetic needs every single day, which is another reason. One of the things that I'm offering my clients is this monthly membership where they can, it's available to them every single day. It takes an investment to work with me, but then I want people to have that energetic container where they know their fields will be cleared, they know they can feel safe to feel everything and to process everything. And so much of the pandemic, I feel like, regardless of your personal circumstances, has awakened our trauma to come up to the surface. And it's absolutely crucial for us now to sit in a loving container where we can listen to our bodies and begin to heal and connect with crystals, like whatever it is that
Mm.
nourishes you, doing that nourishing thing over and over again.
Wow. And I agree 10,000% because I would say to people, when the pandemic started, I would actually say to people, guys, look at this. And I know my metaphor probably doesn't, it's not right, but I say to people, look at this as like you've just been diagnosed with cancer. And what I mean by that is, when I got diagnosed with cancer, energetically, physically, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, I started to detox a lot of things around me that were no longer serving me. And I was bringing in more love. I was surrounding myself with loving people. I was loving myself more, things like that. And that's when I say to people, use this time to get rid of things that no longer serve you and bring in the feeling. I even get goosebumps saying it, the feeling, the power beyond you, where you can feel, you know what, doesn't matter what's happening around me, I'm good. You can't change with that, but I can change how I perceive it. I can change how I accept it, and I can change how I'm going to allow it to affect me, yes or no. So I find that really, I agree with you 10,000% because I think it's especially now, instead of throwing your anger outwards, it's more about, right, what can I do for me, my community, my family, to get into that healing space, because we don't know what tomorrow brings. And because we don't know what tomorrow brings, we don't know how far this goes. And it's like a journey, isn't it? You don't know when it's going to stop. And I say that also with the women who are diagnosed with breast cancer. I don't just look at women who are stage 1 and they're going to heal. I look at people who are stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, terminal. You're still going to heal this, because the moment comes when we have to check out of this world. When your heart is, and your mind and your spirit's in a right and a peaceful place, you're okay. You're okay. But if you take all of that other energy with you, you're going to have a hard time. So I really like the way you said that, and I really like the way that you have to be accountable. if you're going to do this, you have to be accountable to healing yourself. Don't just say, hey, Dharma, here I am, heal me. You know, it
It
works.
doesn't work like that anyways. It doesn't. It's similar to partnering with crystals. My healing work private one-on-one is partnering with you. It's not, I'm not doing something to you. I'm simply helping you discover all these places and you maybe haven't looked at yet. And I love what you're saying, because it's for me, the thing that helped me was crystals, right? The thing that helped me was all this vibrational tools and methods, and I found beauty in them. I found relief in them. So for someone who's going through something like breast cancer or anything that's awakening their inner trauma, I think it's really important to try new things. You've just heard about crystal healing. Go ahead and try it. Come to my membership, or I have a free course on my website that you can take. It's all about crystal healing myths. But it's when you're drawn to something, it's really important for you to go ahead and try it. And then it's also important for you to say, okay, again, coming back to the initial part of it, the meeting of the needs, and relating it to your name, Grace. Like, how can I give myself grace today? Maybe your journey isn't to say, I am going to be meditating like this many hours a day with crystals. Maybe your journey is just picking one crystal and you breathe with her for 5 minutes that day. And then the next day, you're drawn to taking a walk. And the next day, you're drawn to talking to a friend. The next day, you're drawn to, maybe calling your therapist or your healer. So it's following all these inner impulses and coming back to the intuition, saying, okay, this being that I am deserves my care, deserves my attention. And this being that I am knows what she needs. How can I honor that? How can I be there for that lovingly and gently and honestly, playfully? It's fun to engage with crystals. It's fun to try something new, and following that intuition and following that draw towards fun and play.
Yeah. It's I do see, that's the thing. That's why I said to my husband, I'm so excited for this podcast. No disrespect to any of my other guests, because they've been amazing, but it's because it's one of those places where it's like, yes, this is what I've been saying, because I can say it until the cows come home. I can say it until I'm blue in the face. But, when I would say to people, as an example, I wore amethyst. I wore amethyst throughout my whole breast cancer journey. While I was going through all the stuff of healing myself, I still had the cancer and everything. I was healing myself, and I surrounded myself with a lot more amethyst than anything else. And I was using amethyst. When I would go to bed, I'd wake up in the morning with amethyst. Obviously, not the rough amethyst, but like a love heart, a smooth one. And I'd wake up in the morning with it. Then one day, I get the diagnosis. I get told, "Yep, you're cancer free." And I think it was about a month or two later. And I want your intake on this as well, because what I perceived it as, my bracelet broke, and I thought, "Oh no, my bracelet broke." But then I thought, "Hang on a minute, Grace. Wait. You no longer need it. It served you. You've had that relationship. Now it's time to move beyond that." And I thought of it as a blessing. I gave it thanks, and I put it in running water. I took it to a river and I put it in running water, and I put a prayer in it and a good intention, because like all my crystals, I put always a good intention before I even wear them. But also when that happened, I thought, thank you for guiding me, for being there. It was like having for me, it was like having a support team, part of my support team. I worked with it. I would go in to my appointments with my hands like that through my crystal. I don't know if you could see it. And I would put it in a prayer. and I would use it. Because the only things I could bring, because when you're going into X-rays, you can't wear jewelry, things like that. But I would always have my amethyst bracelet, and that would be the last thing I took off before I go in to get a scan. To me, it was really, really important to work with amethyst at that time. You know what I mean? It was like, I need to surround myself with amethyst. Yes, do I surround myself with everything else? I do when I need it. Like you said, I need that relationship. Guess what I'm picking up? But I don't abandon it. I don't abandon it. So
Yeah.
what's your take on that?
Yeah, that's beautiful, Grace. What if I was to tell you that that crystal that you had in your hand and where that you were wearing was simply an representation of your inner beauty and love?
Wow.
That was a representation of you that you could touch, that you could feel, you could see the beauty. And what if I told you that you actually didn't even need it because you are a crystal?
Mm.
Your bones are 65% or more minerals. Your body is made up of water, which is a liquid crystal. Your DNA is a liquid crystal. The fascia that actually, similar to crystals, takes in and it's actually creates an electrical charge through touch, a piezoelectric charge, and distributes it through your body and can give out electrical information, is also a liquid crystal. Your teeth, you're looking at your bones, the minerals, they're crystals. So, and anytime you look into someone's eyes, you're looking into crystals. So, you have found a way to carry with you the beauty that you are.
Mm.
And you found a way through the help of this crystal to connect with the beauty that you are. And I love crystals for that. I love them for that. And I'm all about it. But I also want you and everyone listening to remember you are that.
Mm.
You are that beauty that you're seeking. People often ask me, like, how many crystals should I get? How many, like, which kind? I'm like, do you begin to realize who and what you are? Do you begin to realize, like, how much power you have when you're partnering with a crystal? You're simply awakening the trust in you to be able to partner with yourself and the rest of the multiverse that's already connected to you with invisible bonds in the
Mm.
quantum realm. So when you are saying something like, what kind of crystal do I need? The only kind of crystal you need is the one that you're finding beautiful, so that in the times that it's hard to look at yourself in the mirror and see that beauty, that crystal is simply there to remind you you are that which you find beautiful already.
You bring tears to my eyes. You really do. Because it's like we're having a one-on-one here. And as soon as you said that, that was the one thing I was struggling to find with myself while I was going through that. It was hard for me to find the beauty within. It was hard for me to love myself. I started loving myself when I was diagnosed with cancer. That was at the age of 47. I loved myself for the first time. Now I love myself until it's crazy. But you know what I mean? But it was just, it really touched a core, because it was like, oh, that's exactly what I was feeling. I was feeling that I wasn't, for myself, loved enough, good enough, beautiful enough. So I thank you for that, man. It's like,
My pleasure.
wow. It's
My
like,
pleasure. That's what
stop being in
I'm
my
learning.
soul.
Yeah. That's what I'm learning through this relationship with crystals, is that it's honestly, you don't even need a physical crystal. You can think of any crystal you want in
Mm.
your mind, and they're there for you. But this physical body, this sacred home that you have, that your soul occupies, is
Mm.
also here for you. And that, I feel, is my mission, to remind people of the beauty and the power that lives literally in you,
Mm.
and is there for you.
Wow. Wow. That's so profound. I love it. I love it. But for saying that, because I understand what you're saying. But for those that think, I need to have something physical to feel connected, um, you know, someone who's going through a trauma of some sort, like I always say, it doesn't necessarily have to mean, when we say traumas, it could even be a bad day or a migraine. I love the way you said about migraines. Well, not love the way you said about migraines. I suffered migraines for years. I think I was 35 when I stopped having a migraine. And that's, I took another path in that, again, holistic as it was. It was the first time I drank plant medicine. I healed that part of the migraine, but it wasn't the migraine. And we know that it's what we were carrying at the time. So I helped heal that. And then I remember going into the doctor and he's like, I need to prescribe you more tablets. I'm like, I don't need them. I don't have a migraine. And it's hard to tell a doctor, a Western medicine doctor, when he says, why? What did you do? And you're like, nothing. I just don't need it anymore. Because, how do you explain that you've just taken plant medicine, So it was a bit difficult. But I get what you're saying. It wasn't the migraine. I didn't heal the migraine. I healed the pain. I healed the trauma. I healed the feeling, whatever was going behind that migraine. But I also, when I have a headache, and I see, this is the thing, you're making me think. And I love it. No, I love it. Because when I have a headache, I put a rose quartz on my forehead. I put it here, a small rose quartz here. I don't take tablets. I put a small rose quartz. So does that mean I'm connecting with the love within me? Because obviously rose quartz represents self-love. Is that what I'm...
Isn't that limited? What if I was to tell you, Grace, you're only about eating sushi or whatever. You're only good for that.
Right. Oh, I get what you're saying. I
Versus
understand.
as Grace, as this vibrational being, you're capable of so much connection, so much creativity, so much joy and love. Similar with crystals. I refrain from attaching certain qualities to crystals because even within a given species like amethyst or rose quartz, each single quartz that you hold in your hand is going to have a different personality. They will have one single different, crystalline structure in them that makes them unique. And similar to how you connect with, let's say you meet someone and you're instantly drawn to them and you can instantly feel close to them and they understand you. And there's perhaps another person that you don't feel that connection with. It's similar with crystals. And when you're connected with someone, it's not necessarily, what you're creating together doesn't have to be limited. It doesn't have to be limited. That said, I will say I have an online course called Crystal Healing Simplified. One of the things I teach there is not to go out and buy like 30 different crystals, but get yourself 4 and 5 and consistently practice with them and connect with them and cultivate that loving connection with them by treating them as sacred nature, sacred medicine. And then over time, what happens is, what I found in my practice is, yes, there are certain crystals that I'm drawn to for certain issues. Let's say if I'm meditating, I love meditating with an Andara crystal. Or if I'm wanting to be grounded, I might be drawn to another earth-based crystal. But it's not, it's not to say that earth-based crystal, like a jade, is only going to do that.
Yeah.
That hasn't been my experience. Also, as a new mom, as I was discovering and diving into this rich world of crystals, I didn't have time to read books, Grace, to,
Of
to say,
course.
let me memorize where this crystal goes. I had like 5 minutes of just, doing my own thing. And I just went into it intuitively. And I
Yeah.
didn't. And when I did later on look at books and other resources, I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't, like, the information was contradictory at times. And it didn't make sense to me because what I was experiencing wasn't being defined in those limiting terms, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yes, it does. It does. Because when people would come to me and say, I want this crystal, but I want it for this reason and not the reason it says. And I would say to them, if you Google this crystal, you would find so many different healing benefits from it. It's not just one. I would say that to them because, yes, I might have a little card that has a description, but what am I going to do? Have a book about a crystal and say, well, here, you want to know what this crystal is? Read this and then let me know if this is the crystal you need. So I would have a small description and they would say, oh, no, this isn't the crystal I need because it's not what I need it for. And I would say, if you go onto Google or wherever and you Google that, you will find so many different benefits from this crystal. It's just that what it is we're just narrowing it down for like this one, for this one, for this, for now. But I would also, to the point where I would actually send, people would buy a small crystal off me of $3, $5, whatever it was, and I would send them an email of so much information about that crystal so they could better understand what's behind it. Like I would say to people, don't just get it to buy it. I mean, I'm probably the worst salesperson in the world. I really am, because I would say to people, don't buy it if you don't connect with it. I'm not there going, yes, yes, yes. Oh, you're a young girl. Oh, are you having trouble with boys? Here, have this massive rose quartz. No, I was more like, if you're not connected to it, don't buy it. So sometimes I would spend, 8 hours of a day at a market and come home with a smile on my face, and my husband would be like, wow, did you kill it today? And I'm like, no, did you see people I put a smile on their face today? That was my goal. And I would always say that, for me, I would always say that my crystals was the shop front of really what's happening. It was a bridge for people to open up and talk to me about what was happening in their lives. And that was just there to guide us, and they would walk off with nothing, and I wasn't upset. Because for me, it's like, and I guess it's for yourself, already what the benefits are of working, within yourself with the crystal and things like that you don't need to be reassured. You yourself doesn't need to be reassured. So I didn't need to be reassured by someone buying my crystal. I would get reassured. See, it is working. You know what I'm saying? For me, it was like I was contradicting what I was doing.
Well, you're doing your light work through crystals.
I was
right?
serving. I was at service. That's what I say to people. My husband says it the same. We are at service. Whatever that means, we're here for serving. We're here to serve. That's it. We're at service.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be. I really want to touch on your Shanti mantra journal, because I found that, just explain to people, because I mean, obviously we've hear about mantras that people say. My husband's Buddhist, so I know about all the mantras in a Buddhist temple, but it's not always the same. I'm not going to sit here and go, this is all you have to do, guys, So again, this is all you have to do, and everything's, we're not talking about the magic pill here. We're talking about self-healing for a purpose. People who are looking, who are watching this or are listening to this, we're not telling you to get a crystal and it's going to heal all your problems, or do a mantra, it's going to heal you. You have to heal you. You have to heal
It
yourself.
is, as you say, it is mantra, as the word means, mantra, a tool for the mind. And what a mantra does is, so with the crystal, you can hold the vibration, right? You can hold this beautiful vibration in your hand and feel it and touch it, and you can make it warm, and you can feel as it's warmed or cold. With a mantra, you can give voice to it. And the mantra that I'm teaching in the 40 days of Shanti mantra journal is Om Shanti Om. Very simple. Shanti means peace in Sanskrit, Om, peace, Om. And I actually have a worksheet where you can choose any area of your life that you want to bring peace to, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a health issue, or whether it's financial. So it doesn't matter. I just wanted to keep it simple. There are 1,000,001 mantras out there, but Om, peace, Om is pretty much what we're all looking for. And what happens with a mantra is that as you're going through the chanting journey, it's very simple. In 40 days, you get a mala, or a 108 necklace.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And I like the crystal ones,
Yeah.
obviously, to absorb the energy. And you repeat this vibration at least 108 times each day. So that's the classical mantra practice. And over time, you realize two things. First of all, it's not about injecting peace into your life. It's more about finding where the resistance is. So one of two things will happen when people start mantra practice, Grace. They are going to start to either find that, oh my God, the beads are too small, Grace. They're too small. Oh no, they're too big. They're too big. That I'm seeding, I mean, it's too hard. No, it's too soft. Like my back is, you know what I mean? So as they sit with this pure vibration of peace, the stuff will begin to come up.
Yes.
And it's not about the mala. It's not even about the mantra.
Yeah.
It's about you staying with what comes up. And the journal is available on Amazon.com. It's called 40 Days of Shanti mantra journal. The journal helps you take note of all of these. And it also, the second thing that happens, Grace, is, and I have this as a piece or as a part in the journal, is you begin to notice more things that are there to bring you peace. And the question I have there is, what signs, symbols, synchronicities, dreams, words, or songs you have noticed today about your intention and about this practice of peace? And I have had so many people write to me saying, like, the moment they start to practice, it's like their filter opens up and they're like, oh, this thing, I just saw like a license plate with Om Shanti Om, or I just saw this, I just heard this song and I got reminded of this. So it just opens up your inner energetic pathways to take in that peace into your life.
You're just astounding me. Like, it's just, I just love, I could listen to you all day, honestly, because it's what you're saying is just so true. And I love the way you describe that people find oh yeah, this isn't good, this isn't the right size, da, 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 da. And it's the same when people, like, when they use white sage, and a lot of people are like, oh, I don't like the smell, da, 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 da. And it's like, because it's bringing up something.
How about, like, I don't like this crystal, it's not doing anything for me. I don't like this mat, it's too thin. No, it's too thick. I
learned that. Trust me, when I would say to I'm not doing that, I'd say to my husband, I'm not doing that, and he's like, why? And I'm like, because it just doesn't. But it wasn't anything to do with the external. I was using excuses because I didn't want to go within. because it's hard to look within sometimes. But I love the way you, because I'm all about journaling as well. I always talk about journaling. And, you know, the thing is, whether it's the crystal, whether it's the Shanti mantra, whatever you're doing, it's going to bring up things. And I love the way that you say to put it in a journal. And I remember also, when I say to people I went and did Ayurveda, it wasn't just the eating right and the dieting and all that. I purged. I purged because it was bringing up so much emotion. Had nothing to do with the food, had nothing. It had to do with the space because, like you said, you're going to do yoga in the morning, Grace. I don't want to do yoga. I don't like yoga. But what was yoga doing for me? It was pushing me out of my comfort zone and it was making me look within. So I would go back to my room and I'm crying, but I'm writing. Had nothing to do with the yoga. So all these triggers. I did an event probably 3 months ago, and just the way the lady took over my little project, I was like, had nothing to do with her. It was something that I wasn't willing to face within myself. So it's I love the way you say that because I agree 1000%. And Conversation with Healers podcast, I am going to definitely be listening to that because I love listening to podcasts. I do a lot of besides my podcast, I also make candles and things, whether with crystals or whether without. Actually, I want to hear what you have to say about that as well in a moment. But even the candles I have for my supplier, my clients and stuff, I love listening to podcasts. I love listening to things that really get me to go, aha moments. So I can't wait to listen to your podcast. But just quickly going back, what is your take about, and it's nothing like, I don't take it personally. I love to hear other people's opinions. When people say, I've got they call them, what do they call them? They call, crystals with candles, crystal crindles or something like that. They call them. I don't. I just say they're candles and it comes with an infused crystal or it comes with a crystal of da-da-da. So what's your take on that?
Does it give you pleasure? Do you find it beautiful? Then, it's all good. I mean, it's not, for me to connect with the crystal, I do like them on my body. But there are the water bottles with crystals and there are all sorts of things. Like I have this little guy, the crystal tree.
Oh, yes.
I'm all for, if it's giving you some sort of pleasure and peace and beauty, go for it.
Yeah, as I said, I was going to show you this one here because I made this one for myself actually, and it's got a huge piece of rose quartz in it with little rose quartz, but I don't burn it. Because I just love the way it just sits in there. If you ever toured my house, there's crystals everywhere, and like you said, it's because I like to sit next to a crystal. They're not necessarily all in jars of wax. But yeah, I just wanted to hear your take on that, and I really appreciate that. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is you talk about you hold space with energetic wounds. So now, when we say holding space for someone, I know what that means. You're there, you're present for someone, you let them go through their journey or go through what they're going through. But having said that, with times now now we're opened up, but how did you find, were you still able to heal or help people with the pandemic on like a Skype or a StreamYard or thing like that? Were you still able to do that sort of line of work where you can help hold space with a person?
Well, before the pandemic, I had sort of a 50-50. I would see people here in my house, in this room, in person. I also would see people from all over the world through an online connection. And what I found was I was being drawn more and more to the online connection, because it's me being in my safe space, the person being in their safe space. They don't have to drive anywhere. And also I can connect with someone in Australia and someone in Turkey or Europe or in the US. It didn't matter where we were. And then at the end of 2019, I actually had an intuitive guidance, sort of a push, if you will, tell me that I needed to close my in-person practice and just begin move all my private work to online space. So at the end of 2019, December 31st, I actually stopped seeing clients in person and I moved all my sessions to online. And then 3 months after that, COVID hit, the pandemic. Well, it had become before that, but the quarantine started. So I found out very quickly what that was about. But for me, it was aligned. It made sense because I was finding that it didn't matter whether the person was here or we were connecting online. In fact, in a lot of times, I'm able to go even deeper in sensing and feeling into an issue when we're in a remote situation. There's no physical barrier. Like I can reach and feel into the body, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So for me personally, pandemic has been very, very, it's been a very much a learning and evolving journey, and it continues to be. And just switching everything to online was just an organic and pleasurable part of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Sure does. Because the thing is, I find that the world needs more people like yourself. And I love the fact that you're able to reach. I mean, whether you want to call technology these days a curse or a blessing, it's both, but it's definitely a blessing because you can reach more people. And like you said, there are people who could be in all places of the world and you can still reach. I mean, we're in two parts of the world. What, I'm not sure what time it's there. It's what, 6 p.m. or something there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's almost 11 a.m. here in Melbourne. So who's to say you couldn't connect with another person? And also, like you said as well, where when the person is in their safe space, I think they tend to also open up a lot more because, although you're there to heal in a physical form, your mind could be like, oh, I've parked my car down the road. Am I going to get a fine? Oh, then I have to take the kids to school after this. You know what I mean? You've got always things going on. Whereas when you're in your safe space, you close your door, whatever you are, and you're able to express yourself more, I believe, as well. So I think your intuition or your guide, whoever told you, was in a good spot at the right time, and I really love that. So the thing is, you go on to your offerings to take the quiz to determine your energetic wounds. Part of me is afraid to do that, I'll be honest with you, because I think I've probably healed most of my wounds, but but hey, you
Look,
grow.
here's what I'm going to say about this. The quiz
Yeah.
is there for awareness purposes. It's a 12-question quiz, and it's going through all the energetic wounds that I am aware of. And I always say, if I know more, I will add to it. I want people to know that I have said yes to 11 of those. And 10 years ago, I would have said yes to 12 of those. And the one question that I know now is no longer applies to me, it's about whether I trust my intuition. And now I do. I didn't 10 years ago.
Mm.
So, and I know that looking at these things that can awaken a certain amount of dread and shame and sadness, which is why at the end of the quiz, I'm sharing an emotional freedom technique, tapping with you to help you deal with whatever comes up. And the quiz itself is very, very quick. It's, like I said, 12 quick questions, but I want you to be aware. So I'm someone who lives with 11 wounds as defined in this quiz. And I have to be very responsible in taking care of my self-healing needs every single day, to be able to be there for myself, to be able to be there for my daughter and for my clients. So it's not to say that you have a wound and you're going to be like condemned forever. No.
Mhm.
But it's also not to say you have a wound, you went to one healing session with me or someone else and you will be healed. In fact, a client asked me that question today. The answer to that is, it's not about getting rid of the wound. It's about finding out, why is this wound coming up to the surface now? What is it here to tell me? What is it here to teach me? What remaining thing in it, what remaining layer in it is asking for forgiveness, healing, love, understanding? Because we heal in layers. You might think that you healed, you may have healed 99% of the layers, but there's that one layer remaining that's waiting to be heard by you. And the layers that come up at any point in time are the layers that you're ready, willing, and able to heal in that moment. So you are in charge. Your system is in charge. Your system knows what you can handle. So it's not going to give you anything that will overwhelm you. It might make you slightly uncomfortable in the moment, but it will give you, even if you have one wound, it will keep giving it to you in different like dresses, in different formats, so that you can experience your evolution. It's not about 100% being cured or being healed even. It's about you experiencing yourself in your different stages of evolution and change, and giving yourself to the chance to evolve and change. So it's sacred work. It's never ending work. And even when you feel like you have healed all the wounds of this lifetime, there's other lifetimes. There's your ancestors, there's your blood and soul family. So we have work to do. So let's get to work.
Exactly. It just doesn't end there. You thought it was ending there. No, but wait, we have more for you. And I agree with that. I agree as well, because I talk about a lot of people when I say, they start to talk to me about something that they healed, and then the way that they react to it, I'm like, no, that's still an open wound. It's not a scar. I call them scars. Where scar is the one where you can talk until the cows come home and it's nothing. You've really healed that part. But like you said, if you think, yeah, I've healed that, and then you start talking and opening up, and then all of a sudden you get into that, energetic emotion or whatever's happening, I always go, that's okay. It's open, a scar, and you need to heal it still, and it's okay. But like you said, there's times where, I would say to my husband, why am I never, I never ever asked the question, why me, when I got cancer? Because it happened to me, not for me. No, it happened for me, not to me, I always say. So there was a lesson in that. I say to people, was I surprised I had breast cancer? Yeah, of course. Was I surprised I had breast cancer? No. So, and that's because I had a lot of wounds. I had a lot of open wounds that I needed to heal. But there are days also in life, where I just sit there and I think to myself, wow, why is life wanting to, I use it as a metaphor, but it's like, why is life holding me by the neck to the ground? What am I not learning? What am I not letting go of? Because sometimes it could be something you're not even letting go of. You're holding it so tight. So, you know what I mean? It's great how you say that, because it's a matter. And then you think, oh, yeah, I've dealt with that. It's like, no, you haven't. But wait, you have more. But it's like you said, it's not getting rid of it. It's understanding it. It's accepting it. It's making it move past you, and then you go, okay, I know what that is, and not have that reaction still to it. Because we all have wounds, and like you said, I remember doing what do you call it? Hypnosis. I'm not much into hypnosis, but I tried it once. And what I saw was my grandmother, my mother, and me saying the exact same words. And that scared me because I went, oh, wow, I can see how it's come down, it came down 3 generations. But not knowing. Does that make sense? I didn't realize I was doing exactly what my grandmother was doing, exactly what my mother was doing. And they weren't getting help in their lives. You know what I mean? They weren't healing themselves. And I'm thinking, why aren't I healing myself? And then I realized I was using that same pattern.
Yeah. So what you were doing, Grace, was you were, you have been resourcing yourself. Meaning you, as part of this chain, you came to a point where you realized you don't want to be continuing this chain of events or patterns. And the reason that you were able to even see that is you brought yourself to such a place where your nervous system could handle seeing it. And that's called self-healing. That's called surrounding yourself with inner and outer resources. So you feel that well. And oftentimes when people start crystal healing or any type of healing, they would tell to me, some people go in and in the first session, they're like, oh my God, fireworks, this is amazing. And then some people come out of it and say, I didn't feel anything. Nothing happened. And I say, and I remind them, like, their well has been so empty for so long. This is just a droplet into that well, into that container. Like, you have to keep dropping the droplets. You have to keep resourcing yourself, refilling yourself to the point that it comes to fullness and it overflows out of you. That's what we want as healers. All of our healing is to fill our wells and then to flow it out into the world. So if you find yourself not feeling it yet, just stick with it. Keep doing this inner self-healing work every single day.
Yeah, and I agree with you as well, because it's true. A lot of people are like, yeah, I don't get anything out of it. And it's like, just have patience.
And it is scary. It is scary, like you said. Yeah. What else am I going to discover? Like, what if what I discover is too big for me to handle? Like, I don't want to see initially. But like I said, if you're drawn to something, it's very likely that your system is already at a place that is able to handle whatever it will show you. Like the pattern that was shown to you wasn't a mistake. It was something you called into your presence through your resourcing, through your self-healing.
Yeah, it's so true, because that's like when I say to people, part of the work that I've done in Peru and things, and people would say, what's that like? And I'm like, well, it's nothing. When you do that sort of work, whether it's with healing with crystals, Reiki healing, whatever it is, it's nothing that's going to go, oh, I'm going to pop up and you don't know what I am. It's something you're going to know what it is. It's never something you don't know. It's something you could have suppressed, but it's not going to surprise you and go, what is this? It's the same with looking in the mirror. A lot of people cannot look in the mirror because obviously it is the window to the soul, and the soul doesn't lie. The eyes don't lie. So you can lie to yourself until forever. But the moment you look in the mirror, a lot of people can't do that because that's the truth. And like you said, there's so much healing to go on that they're scared to look at that. They're like, oh, I can't look at that part of myself just yet. And like you said, your soul, the universe, spirit, whatever you want to call it, says, no, it's okay. You're okay. You'll be okay. Just look at it. It's going to probably hurt. It's probably going to make you angry. It's probably going to make you resentful for a while, or whatever it is. But you're okay to start looking into it further. Look at it. Look at it. Where does it come from? Like you said, and I love the way you said also, because a lot of things come from from your inner child. A lot of them come from the inner child. And I remember just recently there was uh, Adele. I was watching her, and Oprah said to her, you know, what about your 7-year-old self or something like this? And she said she was scared and she was lonely. And Oprah said, but look at her now. Don't forget. Look at where you are now. So a lot of people think, oh, that's still that wounded child. But did you forget where you've come? Look how far you've come in your life. So go back to that wounded child and tell her it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. But a lot of people cannot still connect the wounded child to today. They still see it as two separate things. And when you start seeing it like that, you're going to always hurt from the past.
That, and I mean, some things, I was actually talking to a client today. There are things that are stored in the body and in the field that are not with words. Because like pre 5 years old, we don't necessarily have a full grasp of words. We don't define our experience with words. Our experiences are emotions, and they're physical things. And there are things that are beyond physical that we're actually more open to as children. And this particular person was experiencing issues with their throat. And my sense was, it's not even like when we have a discomfort, when we have something going on in the body, we assume that's just there. But I was seeing, or I was feeling into this person's field, and I could feel unmet needs all the way reaching back to like womb even. So all those things come up to the throat, and they become a knot in the throat because you can't give words to them. Words aren't enough. Words aren't able to define that. So when we say, or when I say working with the inner child, what I mean is we have to dive into your energetic field to go into those places where these experiences that led to that knot are stored. And to be able to do that, you do need help. That's very, very hard to do by yourself.
Yeah, that's right. Just and having said that, I would definitely highly recommend people come and come to your and check out your services, because it's all about going to. I always say to people, if I don't have the answer, I will find someone who can help you. I'm not sitting here knowing it all. It's not my job. I'm not at service to do that either. But I really, really, suggest and hope that listeners or people watching this, reach out to Delma, because I feel energetically, things, and I always say to people, I have a sixth sense about people, and it's not seeing them dead, but I energetically feel that what you have to offer can help so many people, because like we're saying, it's not just a matter of taking a magic pill, but it's healing yourself. You want to get to that end of your days, whenever it may be, and be at peace with yourself. That's the main goal, is where you say, I'm good. Am I checking out now? All right. Okay. But I'm good about it, and not have things that you regret, or things that you still held on to, or like we say, you haven't been able to express it. So I really, really loved having you on my show. I really did. And I'll be checking out also the 40 Days Shantama. I'll be getting that off Amazon. And I'll also have the link, guys. I'll have the link for everything Delma has to offer, because I believe that, to help your journey, whatever you're going through, to help your journey, you need someone to also assist you to heal yourself within yourself. She's there to guide you, to help you, so take that, take it, take it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for doing what you do, Grace. People don't realize how much work this is, how much energetic work it is to actually hold conversational space. So thank you. As a podcast host, I know. So I appreciate you. So anybody listening, you can go to adropofom.com, adropofom.com. You can take the Your Energetic Wounds quiz. I have a little mini course about crystals. I also have on Amazon, I have a crystal healing journal that you can purchase, and a gratitude journal, 40 days of gratitude, in addition to the 40 days of Shanti mantra journal. And anything I do is to help heal energetic wounds, whether I help people who are on a more self-healing journey or partnering with people who want to go do deeper work on an energetic level. So I'm available. Reach out to me with any questions you have.
It's just been like, honestly, I think I will have all your links to your Instagram, your Facebook, your websites, everything available for those that really, and I really do encourage people, if you're listening or you're watching this, to really, reach out, because this is something that will be of benefit to you. I'm definitely going to go to Amazon and do some shopping. So, because I love, not only do I support the people who have got books out there and things like that, but I always say that when I purchase a book from one of the guests that I have, not every guest has a book, and that's fine too. But to me, it feels like it's a connection. I feel like I get to understand and know the person a little bit better as well on a personal level. So that's why I get it. And I read them, or I start using them if they're journals and things like that, because I'm always, you can't see behind me on my bookshelf, but just, the top one, no, just here where these things are, just on the other side of that, I've just got like journals. I don't have enough. You can never have enough.
Not enough crystals, not enough journals. I'm with you.
I just love it. When I'm doing some sort of, an everyday journal, I've got, if I'm doing a meditation thing, it's blown my mind how I cannot remember the meditation, the silent meditation I did. But yeah, when I went through that, we weren't allowed a journal. It's definitely 12 days in silent meditation. You meditate 16 hours a day. You're not allowed to talk to anyone. You're not allowed to have eye contact, nothing. But I remember coming out of there, and I think I wrote for 16 days because you're not allowed to write. When I did my Ayurveda, I'm in a journal. I'm forever journaling what I'm thinking, because I feel that it's a great way to express yourself. And because sometimes, like you said, sometimes words aren't enough. And I remember pages are dug into like 4 or 5 pages. It's like I was almost with a knife, and it was just a scribble or something, because it was that moment that I felt that. And then the next day it's a flowing, might have a flower. But I really highly, highly recommend you guys reach out to Damla. Having said all of this, I really appreciate having you on my podcast. I cannot wait to connect with you again. I'm going to go shopping on Amazon, and hopefully I can, convince you to do another podcast with me.
I'd love to, anytime.
Yeah. Did you want to say anything else before we wrap up?
You know what? This has been so much fun. Thank you. And thank you to everyone listening.
Thank you. And to everyone else, thanks for listening in. Hope you guys appreciate this episode like I do. And like always, I wish you so much love and light.